All right, good morning, everyone. It's your boy Rome. Today I'm going to go through a really quick little workflow for some of my boudoir as well as some of the content that I create for um, lingerie lines, jewelry lines, things like that. And here's a quick image here in Capture One. Just going to zoom in here a little bit. And as you can see here, jewelry can be a pain because there's going to be a lot of reflections on it, things like that. But most of the time, the clients are aware of that. They know that's going to happen. The way they're using these images, can vary. But your objective, like anything else, is just to capture the best base image that you can, and then, kind of work from there. So we're going to do real quick is we're going to do a really quick little touch up on this image here. We're going to take this into Photoshop. And we're going to do a really quick edit on it. So just wait for that to pop up here in Photoshop. Shouldn't be long. There we go. Okay, so let's get to it. So we can zoom in here and look at some of the things that we may want to correct. There's some flyaway hairs. That's not really as big of a deal because I think that kind of adds to the whole image itself. There's a few things on the model's hands, her face. Some of these hairs down here we might want to remove. I think there were a few little scarring, things like that we want to touch up. So we're going to get right to that. All right, so I'm going to duplicate that layer. If you're on a Mac, that's Command J. On a PC, I think it's Control J. So we'll make sure that layer is selected. We're going to be using this tool here. And we're going to go in and start cleaning up some of these areas. Now, we don't have to get them all. We just want to, soften the skin, remove as many of the little imperfections that we can find. Some of them will be very, very obvious. Others, not such a big deal. Now, one of the things that you will almost always see when you're using studio lights is these highlights on the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose. And I'll show you guys one way that I deal with that with frequency separation by just blending that color under the texture. So we're just going to go in here real quick. You guys have seen me do this many times before, so we're going to just speed it up, get right to it, try to get rid of some of these hairs. We don't have to get them all. We're going to get as many of them as we can for this demonstration. Now, if you're doing this for a client, as I said many, many times, take more time, get in there and spend time, taking care of all of the little small details, especially anything, if they're going to be using these for print, and that will be seen in the final image. So you can go in and, remove all of that if you wanted to. I'm just going to remove some of the obvious ones. And this whole area here, I think I want to take out because I think it's kind of distracting. And I mean, most people, especially, women, when you're working with them for boudoir and stuff like that, they don't have an expectation, well, most wouldn't, that you're going to make them look, 20 years younger or something like that, because that's very unrealistic. But you will find people that will ask for something like that. I've had people that have come in that supposedly were, trying to get into modeling or something, and they will come in and say, oh, I want, flawless skin and what have you. I say, well, I'll do that for you, but you got to be careful because you can talk yourself right out of a client. But at the same time, you have to tell them, an agency, if you're going to be submitting these truly to agencies, at some point you're going to have to walk in the door of that, in front of that agency, and they're going to see you for who you are. And most of these people have been doing this long enough to know when something has been photoshopped. Trust me, they know. Okay, so we got all that. I'm going to go ahead and do the body modifications first, and then we'll go in and do the frequency separation. Usually I do it last, but we'll just do it first this time. So we're going to go to Filter, Liquify, and we're just going to grab our push tool, and we're just going to move a couple of things around just a little bit, right? So we want to bring this brush size up just a little bit. We're just going to kind of narrow her waist. We're going to bring that hip out where it's more rounded. Bring the belly and the side in just a touch. Bring the arm in a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Now I may go in and look at the face, see if there's anything I want to change here real quick. So I'm going to narrow her face just a little bit, and I'm going to enlarge her eyes a touch. And give her a little bit of a smile. We're going to say, okay, that's go. Cool. Now, if you notice here on her hands, on her knuckles, there's some scarring. So I'm going to go in real quick and just grab this and just take those out. Perfect. Okay. Now there's a few other little things, but I think when we get to our frequency separation, we can still come in and adjust some of this texture. So we're done with that. All right, so let's zoom out. So we're going to hit our frequency separation. We're going to decide now how much blur we want. I think 14 is too much. I'm going to go for this one somewhere about maybe 8.5. That's good. Okay. So here's our two layers. We have our high layer and a low layer. So again, we're going to select the high layer, and we're going to create a helper layer from our black and white filter here. And that's going to be up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this above this folder, because we're going to get rid of it at some point. So we're going to zoom in here. Bring that down a little bit so we can really see where all the colors are of her skin. All right, I'm going to turn off the high layer, and we're just going to be working on the low layer down here for now, real quick. So we're going to grab our mixer brush, and let's go ahead for now, just zoom in a little bit. And we're just going to start mixing these colors of her skin. We just want to blend them together. Now you're going to see, some highlights and some shadowing. For this one, her skin is about the same color everywhere because of the lighting. So you could just go in here like I'm doing now, and all we're doing is just blending everything together to give her skin an even tone. So I think I got most of it. And I know you've seen me do this before, and I'm going to do this in just a few areas just so you can see how it's done. And I've done this before, but I'll do it again here. So on this layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lasso tool, and I'm going to lasso a part of her skin. Let's say this area here. And then I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And then I'm going to blur that even more. And then you can just go in and just make your selections as you need to. And then go back up, Filter, Gaussian Blur. And just go in. And it's just further. This mouse is killing me today. Same thing. So you can go through the whole thing. You can do it with the face. You can go in all these little different areas. You know, pick your areas. Apply your blur. So we go through this whole area here. Stay away from the eyes, anything that you want to have detail, maintain detail to. But right now we're just working on the low layer, so most of that would not affect anything, I don't think. So up in here. Like I said, we're not going to do the whole thing, but I just want you to see how that's done. So we bring our texture layer back, and we can start to see, you know, how we brought the skin tone together. So let's turn off this one here, and then we're going to go to the base layer, and you start to see, you can look at the body. That's before, that's after, before, after. And then, like I said, you can still go in here further, and I'm still on my low layer, and I could still go in and select certain areas here and blur that out even further. So I go back to my Gaussian blur. I'm still blurring out the skin. I'm going to go around this whole area here where we have the little stretch marks. I'm going to blur that. And then here. Elbows can be a challenge. You may have to go in and do a little bit of additional softening around the elbows because the tissue there, the skin there, can sometimes be coarse, you know, what have you. So, you know, we're good there. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's look at it from our black and white, our helper layer. All right, we're good there. So then we could take this helper layer like we did before and just delete the whole thing. And then we can turn on our frequency separation on and off. And we can see what we're getting. Now, at this stage, you could go in and start doing a number of things. You could do further cleanup, or you could do some dodging and burning if you wanted to. You can go in and, you know, dodge your highlights and burn down your shadows. For this image, I'm not going to do that. Or you can go in and add some makeup, you know, if you want to, you know, clean up the eyes further. So if we go into, let me just grab one of these panels to make it quick and easy. So we want, which panel do we want? Let's just grab this Pro, and we're just going to go to Eyes. We're going to whiten the eyes, and you can see the folder that it created here. You're going to grab your regular brush, make sure to switch over from your mixer brush, and then just go in and just paint in the eyes just a little bit. And you're going to lower the opacity, trust me, because this is high. I still think that's too much. And that's at 20%. Let's bring it down a little bit more and then zoom out completely. Yeah, so it's not that bad. And that's, just, really just speeding through this, right? Now, one other thing that I have a tendency to do, I like to add sharpness at the very, very end once I've done everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten these, merge all of these layers together. I could have actually, you know what, let's undo that. And I'm just going to create a stamp layer, and we're just going to do it on this layer. So I would go in here, I have some actions from Nito Batista, and one of them is this tri-range sharpening. So I'm just going to click on that and let it run. But it's going to create a number of different layers, and then it's going to give you some instructions here, and you can follow those instructions as you need to. It's already isolated certain maskings per channel. So you got shadows, midtones, and highlights. So you can go in and paint these in or adjust these however you like. So we're going to zoom in here pretty close, and you can look at her skin and you can start to see how sharp and how crispy it is. Obviously you don't want that, but if you turn it off and back on. So if you want to do it the quick way, you could just bring it down, bring the opacity down, where you still have good texture in the skin, but it doesn't look artificial. So there we go. All right, guys, so hopefully you've learned something again today. If you are going to be working with boudoir, or you're going to be doing any of these type of lingerie shoots, here's an approach to it. Now, another thing that you can do at the end, and you could have probably done this before we did the sharpening. Let's just turn that layer off and go back to this layer. You can duplicate this layer. You can duplicate this layer, Command J, and then you can bring your choose soft light, and you see how it warms up the skin? Well, that's obviously too much. So we're going to find a happy medium. Let's zoom out a bit. Let's turn it off. See, that gives it a little bit of warmth to the skin. Okay, I like that. So we're going to stay with that. So let's go ahead and just flatten this image. This is the image that I'm going to save, and this will be the image that I'll use in the video, as well as upload to Instagram for you guys to take a look at. All right, guys, I'm going to bring this video to an end. Hopefully you learned something. If so, please let me know what in this video that you'll start using in your workflow. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those also down in the comments. I would do my best within the first couple of days, to monitor the comments and answer any questions that may arise. If you already follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any of those other places, I do monitor those throughout the day. So if I see any comments or questions, I will respond to them. Until next time, it's been Ron Wilkerson. I will see you guys most likely tomorrow. I am doing a live a little bit later today. Something happened today when I tried to do the live this morning. So I will be attempting again to go live on Facebook at 7 p.m. tonight. So if you're watching this video on the day that it was posted, 7 p.m. tonight on my Facebook page, you will be able to participate and comment and chat during a live edit session. I may even have a guest, so we can just kind of talk back and forth. And if you guys, want, into that kind of thing, come on through. All right, guys, I will catch you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, take care of your loved ones, and get out there and create something amazing. I'm out of here. Peace.